We are live.
Hi everyone, welcome to Mike and Lauren Live. It's Tuesday night at 8:30. We are so happy to have you here. We do have a few housekeeping tidbits before we get started, so let's start.
Yes, again. So housekeeping. Sorry for the email that we sent. Or actually not sorry. It's a question for you. So when we were on vacation, we came back, we plumb forgot to send all of our notifications for our posts, and we got behind 6 of them. There's all the 3 fixture finances, and then the 2 cruise videos, and then tonight's live show. So that actually brought up a question. Would you prefer seeing one video, one email per video the day after they're posted, or would you rather see 1 email a week from us with all 3 videos that we did? Not that we're going to necessarily change. I'm just curious. I forgot to include that in the survey, and it reminded me of that today when I sent the email. So that's a question we have. Second thing, we talked a couple weeks ago, more than a couple weeks ago.
Mike Makes.
And so the plan was do daily vlogging on Sundays, daily weekly vlog, new channel called Mike Makes, and that would be all the woodworking and shop stuff. Started the process of creating logos and channels and emails and lists and blogs and blah, blah, blah. Not gonna do it. I just do not feel like doing double of everything, running 2 blogs, doing doing a whole new email list with blah, blah, blah again. So here's the plan. We're just gonna start posting Mike Makes stuff on our channel randomly. And sometimes on Sundays.
Just kind of what we were doing to begin with.
Right. We kind of steered off the path of doing the videos exactly like we wanted to do them. For some reason, I don't even know why we did that. But this channel is just what we want it to be. And the videos we want to do and make are woodworking. And I have an idea for like a big pneumatic cylinder arm and an airplane wing desk and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully you guys are into that thing, that kind of stuff, but I'm just not interested in making a whole new channel. So that's going to show up on here, which means a lot more new videos on this channel and sporadically, not on any particular schedule. I don't want to be like, nailed down to making a project a week. I'd rather just do them as, I'll work after work and stuff. So it'll be close to every week, but maybe more, maybe less. Anyways, I was just talking about when the sound was off, how I say anyways a lot.
And there you go.
Okay, so this brings us around to the live show, and when we first started the recording, we said we have a big announcement that we wanted to say, but we're going to do it in a second. In line with making the videos that we want to make, we have realized after being on vacation that we do not like doing the live shows every Tuesday. And
we like the live shows a lot. We like getting to talk with you guys, and we like more discussion, but the every week has gotten a bit much.
So all of our other videos, we enjoy the process of preparing, filming, editing, coming up with the ideas. The live shows, the only thing I like is the actual show itself. I don't like the preparation for whatever reason. I think it's just because it's in the middle of the week. We don't have the weekends to do it, so it's either before or after work.
Or during sometimes.
During work sometimes. And it's, so what we've decided is we are going to, starting tonight, and that's the reason why it actually happened. It was funny because we're doing this video, we're researching this thing. Would you do the work for, for love or for money? And not that this is any money, but it was kind of driving home the point. If we don't truly enjoy doing this, why are we doing it so often? So what I want to see it look like is once a month with more guests like Jim Collins and more structure.
Yes.
And
so
more
that we
promotion.
Have time to figure out more of what we're going to say, and then you guys get to see before 3 hours ahead of time what it's going to be about. Right.
That's what we want to do. And this is just an experiment. And today actually marks the 6th month to the week that we started our live show. So we gave it a good run for 6 months. And
who knows, we might go the other way and then say, no, we liked it that way.
We might like it once a week. Maybe we'd like it better if we did it once a week on Fridays when we're both off. Or who knows. But just changing it up. After doing research in this video, we're like, why are we doing a video about not doing the things that you don't like to do and then doing the things that you don't like to do? So that is that. Oh, but since there won't be Tuesday shows, there'll still be more videos because the Mike Makes are going to be more videos. It's not just going to be, okay, here's a completed project. I want to do the videos that I would want to see. Like I'm setting up my radial arm saw, and like the process of figuring out this saw that was made in the 60s and there's very little documentation for is something that I kind of want to make a video about. And hopefully you'll find that interesting too. So that would just be posted randomly during the week. Moving on. Let's see comments real quick. We got some no sound comments. Let's get down to the bottom. Once a week works for me. Mike had a high impedance air gap. That is, do you work in production at all? Because that's, a high impedance air gap means it's unplugged. Very funny. Sharuk says email the same day. We got one for same day. Right below it, we got once a week. So back and forth. Kevin says a fan of integrating, not separating the current channel. Very cool. That's good to hear. Once a month sounds good to you. To Tony for the live shows. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
If the quality is
Yes,
better.
yes, that's exactly what we're going for, where they would be much more interesting topics. Not that the topics aren't interesting, but much more thorough and hopefully
Thought out
with guests. And what I don't want it to be is it's just constantly an interview with a guest, but where it's a conversation with a guest who is an expert in that field. So, for example, with, the gym and your house is a bad investment, the gym video. He's an expert in that field. He knows it. He's done both for many years. He's been both a landlord and a tenant, and I'm rambling now. That's what we're looking for. Holy cow, 6 months flew by. Yes,
Seriously.
it has. It really has. It's actually to the week today. Isn't that crazy? I already said that. Moving on.
To the topic.
To the topic.
Let's get started.
Yes. What's the topic, Lauren?
We are going to be talking about whether or not hating your job is worth it because it means that you make the money to retire early.
So, for example, I guess it kind of goes without saying that it would need to be a high-paying job. Maybe it doesn't go without saying. But for me, in my mind, it's not even a consideration unless the pay is more than if we're doing something that you actually like doing. So if you're, somewhere in corporate America or a lawyer or what are some other examples? Like engineers often don't like the corporate world, but the high pay makes up for it and it's very hard to leave. So what we want to answer tonight is, would we do that? Because that's a big would. Because we both really like our jobs. We've talked about that many times before. That what I really like doing is doing things randomly and having a different schedule every day and doing things that have never been done. And here at the church where I work, that's exactly what I do. So I'll always work here in some sort of capacity.
And I like jewelry and shiny things, which is why I decided I wanted to study that. And so I like where I'm at and I like who I work for. And I feel like I am an asset there. So.
Right. She is an asset. What an
Thank
asset.
you.
That's what I meant to say. Anyways, again, with anyways. So the question is, would we, and under what circumstances would we consider working a job we hate? So the first thing I came across in the research for this was that there's a difference between early retirement and financial independence. And that financial independence is the freedom to retire early if you choose. And consensus that I saw a lot online was that early retirement is for people who hate their jobs, and financial independence is for people, for anyone, in any walk of life. Being financially independent is a good thing to have, whereas quitting your job might not be what you want to do.
Interesting.
But for me personally, I actually don't really see a line necessarily, because I see early retirement as the choice to do anything you want anyway, and if that were to work where you're working, then that's what you choose to do in your early
because you have
free
the
time.
freedom to decide that.
Right. And so anything can really become boring after many years of doing it, no matter how much you like your job. And that's kind of why we're planning now, even though we do love our jobs, eventually after years, and especially after decades, you're going to grow tired of anything. And wouldn't you want to try something new? Some people don't, and our grandparents never did. But the choice is something that's important to me. And
The
so
choice and the freedom, I think, is where that.
So to get specific, how long would I work in a job that I did not like? I think there needs to be a little bit of a line there. That is it something that is not very meaningful, it's not meaningful work to you, or if you hate it, is a big difference for me. So let's say the option is, $50,000 a year doing something that you pretty much like, or $75,000 a year doing something that is meaningless to you, but it's pushing papers, but you're making $25,000 more a year. In that case, I personally would probably go 3 to 5 years if it meant that I could retire in that time span or something like that. I wouldn't go, 5 or 10 years. I would never do that.
No.
But I would push 3 to 5 years in that case. If it was something that I actually hated, but it was the difference between a significant amount of money, say for example, if you're waiting for your pension to vest or your stock, in your company to vest, I wouldn't do it more than a year or two if it was something I hated personally, because we're going to talk about this in a minute, but basically it comes back to, does money buy happiness? Is money the most important thing? And we don't believe that, even though it is a very important thing. And there's kind of two ways that I saw you could approach this. And the first is that you could say that life is too short and that life sucks when you hate your job. That it affects all areas of your life. Your
health, your relationships,
your sleep, your mental,
a bunch of things came up talking about people who just had, anxiety and even depression caused by hating their job.
Right.
That's not good.
And it's not worth it.
No.
If you really hate your job that much. But then there's the second side that you could take that says, once you don't actually need your job, then your job probably is going to become more enjoyable. And in fact, Mr. Money Mustache had a quote somewhere on here. Or maybe it was a comment on his blog, I don't remember. But basically, work becomes more fun when you don't need the paycheck. And I think that's very true. And we've already seen that in our own lives, that work is not only more enjoyable, but you can give your opinion, and that's valued more. Because you're not afraid of losing your job. You can say the things you want to say and do the things you want, and you don't necessarily, have to not do anything that you don't want to do. I think that's ridiculous. I mean, even in early retirement, you're going to have to do things you don't want to do. That's part of life. But if the majority of your day is doing things that you hate, even when you're not fully financially independent, like in our case, not needing the paycheck makes work a lot more fun. So there's this whole negative ball, or there's the whole positive ball side of things. And I think both are important when considering it. Let's go to comments real quick.
Going up too far.
Going up 6 months. So Sharuk says, but I found that if you don't have to do something, it actually becomes more enjoyable. That's why I'm aiming for it. I think you're a few seconds behind us. We actually just, and there you are popping up right now. That, exactly that. That when you don't have to do it for the paycheck, it becomes more enjoyable. Therefore, you can do it longer. And it's kind of this rich get richer, lucky get luckier type thing that people are often jealous of, that when you don't need the work, you end up getting more work because you're confident at work. So you end up voicing your opinion, and your opinion is valued. So you get promoted and you make more money, and you don't need the money. And it's this circle and circle and circle that if you can get there is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Logans Journey says there's a related problem to this, which can be the people who just hate working in general, no matter the job.
And I kind of commented on something like that when we were talking things through before we started, and that's what if the person is the grass is always greener, and if only I can get to financial independence, if only I can retire and be done with this job. But I feel like that is the person who would hate any job that they did, and would they really be happy when they were retired, or would they quickly become bored and not know what to do?
Right. And I think that's where the balance comes in, that actually, this is kind of what we wanted to close on, so I don't know if this will close on this or not, but I think the important part is to have a strategy and be working towards something so that you have that window. So you're not just, one day, screw it, I quit mentality. Like, you're not always one straw away from a camel's back. Is that a saying? The straw that broke the camel's back. There's not one straw. We're going to let that go. You're not a day away from quitting, but you're also not working forever, completely unhappy. And one of the things that's crazy to me is to think about, we're talking about working 3 to 5 years at something you don't like doing, because that's the kind of time frame that, financial independence is possible for most people, or 5 to 10 years, whatever. And there are people who work until they're 65, until they're 70, doing the thing that they hate. And that's insane to me. That we have the option to even choose if the 5 to 10 year span is something we can tolerate and is worth it. There are people who are doing it for decades and decades and decades. That's really sad, really.
It is. And I think that that's the thing too, that you're not always going to love your job. You can really enjoy your job, but there are always those moments where you don't want to be there or something you just don't agree with, but it's finding that those aren't the majority of the moments, or else it's not worth spending your entire life dealing with.
Right. And so I guess our question is, what are you guys doing? Do you hate your jobs right now and you're just pushing through to financial independence, or do you love your jobs and plan on doing it afterwards? And there's a whole broad spectrum of people, because you got to think, there's teachers that who would never quit if you gave them all the money in the world, but it's still valuable, I think, to aim for financial independence so that if anything happens, you have it. If emergency or tragedy or anything, even if you're laid off, why rely on someone else when you can be self-sustaining on your own and then choose to do exactly what you want to do, even if it's choosing to do the same thing that you're doing now. And if you can align those two along the way, I think that's pretty good. Let's check comments one more time. Sometimes your dream job goes sour. Yeah. Very true. The bureaucracy and the red tape of any job and the meetings, initially meetings and things like that can be exciting and you're learning a lot of things, and then eventually become mundane. And there's, it's funny, this actually showed up in a Mr. Money Mustache forum post, but I don't remember where, on this topic, I think. But it was actually, did I ever talk about this in a show one time about the many lives that you have? How you can master something. Oh, I'm pretty sure we talked about this. Darn it. Well, that's important too, that, we have the equivalent of, I think 11 different lifespans in our life where you could master something, and to not take advantage of it and just do one thing your whole life, if that's not what you want to do. If you want to do one thing your whole life, absolutely go for it. But if that's not what you want to do, to be forced to do that is really sad. Shrook says, I'm a physician, I love what I do, yet having an exit plan gives a goal that I enjoy working toward. There's the whole goal side of things too. Yeah. That's very true. Just to be aiming towards nothing is also deflating a lot of times, and to have any sort of goal, whether or not it's quitting your job, is often something good. Susie says 27 years. 27 years doing the same job, that's impressive. I don't know if I would have the patience for that. I have a bit of short-term-itis, not short-term-itis. What is it? We were talking with Jim about this. Basically ADD with things. That we're actually been here a long time. We usually make a huge major life change every 3 years. I don't know why. But we stuck around this 3rd year. All right, so far. Yes, so far. Gary says, how do you balance investing? I feel like too much goes to retirement. And are you talking about traditional retirement or early retirement? But I don't know how too much could go to retirement. If you're talking about, like, where do we put our money? Then we do right now we're actually stockpiling cash, but we're going to be doing the traditional IRA and then the rollover into the Roth, like the backdoor Roth IRA. We did do a video about that. Yes. It's called 59 and a half, What About Penalties, or something like that. So if you want to check that video out, we basically talk about if you think you have too much going into retirement, how you can get that before retirement. Susie says it's a pension issue. Yes, I could see that. Because I'm assuming things like that work out. There's just a magic line, and before that line, you lose out on a lot of money. And if you can just wait for that day, I could see doing that. But if it would not be if it was something I hated. If it was something that just wasn't quite meaningful to me, I could probably handle that. I haven't liked my past jobs, customer service business. I'm trying to go and pivot into IT though. Perhaps I'll like it more and make more money for FI. Very cool. IT is very high paying jobs for sure. And there's just not enough people doing it. No. I agree with you too though. Retirement just leaves more time for projects you're more passionate about. That might make more money. Yeah. I think I've mentioned this in a few comments. I don't know if we've ever said it in a video, but if we're not, we have this like target of this $420,000, but if we're not millionaires or multimillionaires by our 40s or 50s, then we did something very wrong. Like, we don't plan on just sitting on a beach and just sipping on that $420,000. We're going to be doing the things that we really want to do, and I'm projecting that those things that we really want to do are going to make us a lot more money than we're making now without really needing it. So that's something to think about as well. Tor Arvid says, love my job, getting paid right now watching your show. Better pay and less work during the night.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Who is it? It's Mike. I can't remember his last name. From Lacking Ambition. If you guys have never read that blog, he has actually been posted in a whole year now. But he is financially independent, and I think he's in his 30s, maybe late 20s even. And he did it by buying cheap houses and fixing them up, and now he's got 3 or 4 rental properties. Anyway, check out the blog Lacking Ambition if you've never read it. But he had, the reason I say that is he had a night job while he was flipping houses, and basically he was just watching a desk, and he was just watching movies at night, and then during the day he would fix up his houses. Okay, 23 minutes. Let's do some final housekeeping for the night. So this is our last live show for the next 3 Tuesdays, as of now. If we change it, you'll see the post. We'll email it out. Maybe we'll want to do them every other week, but we just want to give it a week off and see what happens. And that would mean, actually could work pretty good to say maybe the last Tuesday or the last Friday of every month or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
What day of the week would you prefer? Because we would probably prefer to do Fridays or Sundays. But if Tuesdays work for everybody, honestly, it's not that big a deal. And times, just give us some feedback on the live show when you'd rather see it and that kind of thing. And we'll do an email announcement for when the next show is and whose it's going to be and what's it's going to be and how awesome it will be.
Totes awesome.
Last comment, Snowgoer says, hate is a strong word, but dislike someone else controlling my day every day. Yes. So no matter how much you like your job, if you're not in control, and that argument is, it's not an argument, that side of things is really difficult because even if you're self-employed, you always have a boss. Unless you're pulling in strictly pure, like true passive income, if you're working for yourself or a business owner, you have many, many bosses, and they're often a lot more annoying than a real boss. But yes, there's always people that are going to be controlling you unless you are in complete control, and that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah.
For no other reason, then why not?
Just because.
Yep. All right. That's it. We'll keep the comments here for 1 second. We'll copy them into the thing. Leave your comments about what day of the week for the next show,
Yes.
and we will sign off now. Oh, we never did Mike and Lauren high five. Mike and Lauren live. High five. Bye, guys.
Bye.